Okay, so this is the question I got from Susan. Can we please send me more, because I have nothing to do with my life. Let's pretend that. But it's really good to get my way of solving it and then look at the book and then think about how they're different and which one works for you and which one doesn't. And you know, this is what we'd be doing in the classroom, and it's really hard to try and recreate this online. So this is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. So keep shooting me the weird questions. Some of them I'm going to struggle with, but that's probably good. Right, so this is a question about acid and titrations, but really it's a bit about titration, but it's more about thinking about ratios when we're looking at titration. So it's kind of a bit more about looking at equations and thinking about moles and things. So it's a bit titration, but it's not necessarily hugely titration. So in the question, which is in checkpoints, there's 2 grams of each of these different acids, and they add it to some water to dissolve it, and they want to know the largest volume of 0.15 molar sodium hydroxide to neutralize it. So that's all the detail they're giving you. There was a nice table. Right. So what I would do is I would highlight the OHs that give me the acids, so I've got a ratio. So I haven't got that because I didn't print it out, but just highlighting that so you know what you're looking at, because it's semi-structural, I think, off the top of my head, so it's just a load of letters and you can get really confused in the stress of an exam. So it's not like you need any more stress in your life, but part of the thing about me telling you to do questions in time limits is that stress. So managing that stress, figuring out under time crunches what you can do well and what you can't, and then working on what you can't do well, or finding workarounds, or that's really kind of all you can do, practice or find workarounds. So I did my 4 acids, I just wrote them out, and then I did how much because of these OHs. So I need 1 for ethanoic, 1 for butanoic, oxalic acid I need 2 sodium hydroxides, and citric acid I need 3. So that's kind of my ratio, but they give me the molar mass. So most of the time, other than some of the waffly stuff at the top, most of the time they're going to give you something that you need to know. They're not going to just throw in weird stuff like molar mass if you aren't in some way kind of going to need it. So if you see something and you're like, well, I'm doing this question and they've given me information and I'm not using it, I mean, you might be able to do a weird workaround, but I would be a bit suspicious of, well, what are you doing it right? Is it working? Why have they given you that then if you're not using it? Like actual facts and figures, you're probably going to need some of the waffly, jargony, like, you know, this question might have a few sentences about Rebecca is doing this and she loves this and this is happening and blah, blah. No, that's not necessary, but you would have to pull information maybe out of those jargony stuff. So I've worked out my ratios, then I've got my moles. So I've worked out my moles because they've all got 2 grams, so just each of the 2 grams divided by the molar mass, which they give you, which is really great because you don't have to work it out. So 2 divided by whatever the molar mass of this one was that I just read. So, oh, and I started with these 2. I did it a weird way because I thought these seemed the most likely. Then I went back because I was like, is it going to be that obvious? But I thought, well, because that's a 2 and a 3, I think it might be one of those. But then I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit suspicious now. Went back. But, you know, sometimes with these questions, you can definitely exclude something and only do, you know, between C and D or A and D or whatever. So for the oxalic acid, I have 0.02, but because of my ratio, I need 0.04 moles of NaOH. My moles of citric... Oh, I should probably just hold it. There we go. My moles of citric acid, very wonky. My moles of citric acid, 0.01. So that's the mass divided by molar mass. And so, because it's my 1 to 3, 0.03 moles of NaOH. So this one's in the win. This one's in the leads. This is where I need the most so far. Then I did these 2 and then I went, are they going to be tricksy? Let's go back. So, moles of ethanoic acid added. So, it was 0.033. So, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so I need the same amount of NaOH. The butanoic, again, it gave me 0.022. So, I need 0.22 moles of NaOH. So, that's how I did that question. That was my thinking. That was how I kind of worked it through. This highlighting, I think, is going to be the trick for this. So highlighting your OHs so you can see it without, well, you can see it anyway, but you can see it clearly. And then if something happens, just remember my woman has a heart attack example. So make sure you're keeping kind of a logical, clear, I mean, don't spend ages highlighting everything and doing it, but a logical, clear, right, that's what I need, that's what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. Because this might then have, this is a multiple choice, but this in an exam might then have another part later. So it might have a part B, and they might have a part C that comes back to part A, or a part D that talks about part A. And if you've got that clear bit at the top, it means that when you have to come back, you know what you're looking at. You're not lost because you've done something else and then you're coming back and you're going, what was going on there? Oh my god, I hate exams. So that's how I would do this question. There might be different ways of doing it. I'm going to do some more of these. You have to give me the questions you want solving. Have a look at these. Have a look at how she solves the questions in Edrolo. I'll try and find some other people solving questions, because I think thinking about how you would go about this is going to be very helpful when it comes to doing your exams and doing any kind of assessment, because you can think, well, I wouldn't have done it like that, I'd have done it like this, we got the same results, my way is better, or my friend does it like this. I like that logical thinking. Yeah. So if any of you want to record yourself doing a question, that would be amazing, but I'm not gonna. Let's not have that stress. And then when we come back to school after the holidays, we can do some questions together. We can think about how we're going to solve the questions. We can do some of that exam skill stuff, because hopefully, because the practice exam is after the holidays, you have most of your content knowledge in your brain by then. There'll be tweaks, there'll be extra stuff you have to add, there'll be bits you'll want to be working on, but you'll have most of the knowledge. So then we can work on how you get that knowledge out on a page. Right, so that's my video. It was longer than I wanted it to be. And then I dropped the phone. I need to sort myself out a proper display thing, but you know, it is what it is. Have fun.